When teams across the country need custom apparel that looks sharp, feels great, and shows off team pride, they call Hatch and Custom Community. From scholastic programs to collegiate athletics, and even local businesses wanting branded apparel that actually gets noticed, Michael and his team deliver quality, creativity, and service that goes full tilt. See what I did there? So if they're helping winning teams stand out, why not yours? For custom apparel with championship-level results, go to customcommunity.com. This is the Full Tilt Podcast with Hatch.
All right. Ben Peterson, Olympic champ here at Fargo. I'm pretty excited about this conversation. I'll be honest with you, Coach. Man, oh man, talk about an absolute legend in our sport. And I'm really excited the fact that, like I said, Coach Gable coached me in the early 90s. And the fact that you and your brothers spent so much time with him, I'm super curious just what it was like back then. So I'm really, really, really looking forward to this conversation. Thank you so much for your time. I really, really appreciate it.
Yeah. I'm wondering what questions you're going to ask, but looking forward to it.
No, we're just going to, I don't know if I'm going to ask you questions, but I think we're just going to talk wrestling like we've been doing for the last hour. Okay. So it's good. So you grew up in Wisconsin.
Correct.
Of all places. So tell us a little bit about your childhood, your upbringing, because I think from what I understand and all that I've read about you, I mean, that was played a huge part in who you became and in your wrestling career.
So I think my brother John and I were in the family of 6 children, 5 boys and 1 girl, and my dad was a dairy farmer, but a small one. It was only 80 acres. And he had 15 to 20 cows at any time that we would be milking. But so he had to get another job, and he worked in a feed mill. And it was interesting. By the time we were in high school, a bad windstorm blew our barn down. And Dad says, "Blessing in disguise, we're going to sell the cows, and then end up just renting the land." Mm-hmm. So he just worked in the feed mill. But what that meant is all 5 of us boys would be hired by the farmers that came to do business with him before almost every Saturday, and in the summertime, day after day. If it was nice weather and it was haying time, all of us would be hired. I remember driving tractor for a farmer.
Yeah.
I was 10, 11 years old. And driving the baler.
Wow, 10, 11 years old driving a baler?
That's how we started. And not very often did we get to drive the baler, but he piled the bales. Later, I would pile the bales.
Wow.
When we got older, so we worked farm work a lot, and we saw our parents working. I've often told people this: I never questioned going to practice. Wrestling practice, because Mom and Dad never questioned going to work. Mom was home all the time, taking care of us and doing all kinds of extra things, of raising a garden so we could eat better, and sewing for us and cleaning the house, and just she was busy constantly with the 6 of us.
Wow.
For a while, our grandmother lived with us, and that was a typical setting for. In those days, just millions of families around the country in farm settings like that.
Wow!
Every family had their own business on the farm, and that's how I grew up. So, John and I think repeatedly we've looked. People talked about how we trained. Mm-hmm. When I met Gable, here's this kid from the city, and the guy works like crazy. I would later run into Carl Adams at Iowa State as well. I shouldn't say later. Carl came as a freshman, but I began to. He was quite a bit smaller than me, and I didn't start wrestling until later on. But I just watched the way he learned to work in New York City.
Yeah.
And that attracted me, and it was noteworthy that was a key factor. If you want to be successful, you got to learn to work.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned Carl Adams. I had him on my podcast. I haven't released it yet, and I'm looking. But what an amazing human being he is. He's amazing. We were just talking. You and I were talking here the other day, and you were talking about your experience with him and his work ethic and everything, and being in Iowa State with him. I kind of go into that a little bit because Carl's awesome.
Well, yeah. Carl was, I would say, today I call him just a gentleman.
Yeah.
And often people years ago said that wrestling was a gentleman's sport. We're not thugs.
Yeah.
We don't try to hurt each other. We don't need to.
Mm-hmm.
We don't get any benefit out of that. We hurt each other.
Right.
We make them hurt, but we don't injure each other.
Yeah.
Some of the things that ultimate fighting and all that is going on, it doesn't appeal to me.
No.
Because of that element, that we never had to do that as we played the game, nor do I have to as a coach. And Carl was a super example of that. I would, and I think you and I chatted this, and I told you when we went to college in 1968 was when Carl and I started as freshmen. And I think of this, Harold Nichols and Les Anderson recruiting the two of us from Long Island, New York, and northern Wisconsin. What are they? And Carl's an African American. I'm the white kid from northern Wisconsin. Hardly ever seen an African American, and what's he going to be like?
Yeah. And
there was a while for us to just think maybe to get acquainted with each other and trust each other, wonder what's happening, and because across the country there was all kinds of the riots that were going on, and then the Vietnam War protests came right after it as well. But I remember being just I got to watch and see what Carl's like.
Yeah. And
initially, I'd say I'd have to look back, and I didn't really trust him. Well, I didn't trust anybody yet.
Yeah.
But I'm going to say, by the time we were done, the two of us would be co-captains together, our junior and senior year.
Wow.
And that was fun.
Yeah.
That was. I remember him saying this to me one day. We were talking about when Chris Taylor, the 425-pound heavyweight, came to us. And we were seniors, and we'd gotten second the previous year, and had won it. Well, we were freshman and sophomore, and we wanted to win it again. Uh-huh. Well, Chris Taylor wasn't running like everybody else. He wasn't doing the extra workouts.
Yeah.
And the extra workouts were on our own. We could do various things, but Coach wanted us to do 5 workouts on our own throughout the week, someplace, somehow. And Chris wasn't doing it. And I remember Carl saying, "Ben, I'll take care of the other 8 men on the team." Excuse me, no, it'll be 7. It'll be 7 of them. I'll make sure they keep doing their extra training. You take Chris Taylor. I agreed to it.
Yeah.
And I know he did the job, and I did get Chris to do some running.
Yeah.
It took me a while to do it, but I did.
Now, did you wrestle with Chris Taylor like Coach Gable did back in the day? Did you wrestle with Chris?
No, I didn't do it like Gable did.
Yeah.
Gable, he did once.
Yeah, he did. That's what he said.
Yeah, he did once, and it was not a good setting. Yeah. Everybody was harassing him. He's one of the grad assistants.
Yeah.
He's our coach. He's not the wrestler, but he's training for a world competition, and. The guys are all saying, "Come on, Gable, fireman's carry." You don't fireman's carry Chris Taylor. And he tried it, and Chris just to stop the harassing, this mob around him, so to speak. He just slowly dropped down, and he hurt Dan.
Yeah,
He tore something in his rib when he did it.
It's rib.
And the whole time I was doing it, because I'd figured out how to do some wrestling with Chris.
Yeah.
That's not what you do.
Yeah.
I never tried a fireman's carry.
No.
I don't think I ever tried a double leg on him. And if I did, I'd never tried it again.
Yeah.
And people constantly ask me, because I was a double leg nut, in my wrestling. And did I do my double leg against Chris? And I simply looked at him and say, do I look that dumb? Now, I had to learn to go to the side and very meticulously figure out how to protect myself on the feet, keep him from whizzing, because he whizzed everybody to the mat.
Yeah.
And then get him off balance, and I literally tipped him off his balanced feet. And then, okay, how do I break him down? Now I'm top of him. How do I break him down? I figured that out after a few weeks, and then, okay, so how do I turn him? And I remember working through each of these, and okay, I got him on his back, and then I remember having him. I had him flat on his back, and I was out in a position, as every coach teaches, you put your chest weight down, and your toes on the mat as far away as you can. You put as much weight on them as possible, and nothing else touches the mat. And I was in that full position. And Chris literally did this. He put one arm underneath me, leaned into me, and then lifted me straight up over the top. I was straight as a board the whole way. And I fell flat on my back on the other side. And I got up and I just said, Chris, the momentum that you can create with your body, I'll never be able to pin you.
Wow.
But I did.
Did you really?
I had to. I did it with an arm bar to get him over. And then instead of doing the arm bar in the side, I did it straight in front. And I laid on his face. So he had to look to the side. And I would jump from side to side as he would try to get momentum. And I would stop it so he could never do it fully. And after a while, he would get tired, and then I could help him.
Then you get...
So I could say I could beat Chris, but it probably would take me 30 minutes to do it.
So now how'd you get started?
Maybe more, 40 minutes.
I guess so. You like I said, growing up in Wisconsin on the farm, stuff like that. Now, how'd you and your brothers find wrestling?
How did we start?
Yeah. How'd you find it?
Well, wrestling was new in Wisconsin. In a major part of the state, and in our town of Cumberland, has 2,000 people in northwestern Wisconsin. When my brother Tom started high school, and his football teammates told him, "You can't play basketball like your brother Phil is. You need to be a wrestler." And so he came home and asked my mother to sign permission slip. And I remember a discussion that was not real calm, of my mother just communicating to Tom that she was not going to sign that, and she wouldn't for... I have the very clear recollection. John says Mom didn't say this, but he wasn't there. And he said, he always tells me, he says, Mom didn't talk like that. John, Mom talked very pointedly when she was against something, and she was against it.
Really?
And she said, no son of mine will ever wrestle. Oh, she has 5 boys and 1 daughter. All 5 of us boys wrestled.
Wow.
And 2 of them for 16 years.
Yeah.
And 3 of us wrestled in college. All through. But I have no recollection of watching Tom and Phil wrestle, because we had to stay home because she didn't want the younger boys to wrestle.
Wow.
But by the time I got to high school, it was okay. In fact, she was glad when I said, I want to wrestle.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be a good basketball player, even though I'm tall and
pretty
slim.
tall. Yeah, pretty tall and slim. Yeah. So getting back to your Iowa State days, so you wrestled under obviously the legendary Harold Nichols. What was it like wrestling back in the Iowa State environment back in that day? I mean, you guys had some amazing teams, and obviously he's a legendary coach. What was that experience like?
Harold Nichols, as the head coach, was a quiet man, a man with not a lot of words, and at times I thought he couldn't communicate well, but that's not true. He communicated well. He just didn't do it a lot. He was a businessman and understood organizing things. He obviously had a very good mind because his desk was a total pile of everything, and yet he was organized, and he did everything that we had to have to be prepared to compete.
Uh-huh.
I think another thing I'd say about Harold Nichols is he had perception about potential. How he ended up asking me to come to Iowa State just totally baffles me, because he saw me wrestle one match.
Really?
And Chuck Jean, who was a freshman on his team, thrashed me before it was done, but I did one move. And he told me years later, he says, I saw the aggressiveness of you going for the takedown and putting him on his back immediately. And I says, I like that aggressiveness. I can work with it.
Really?
And he must have talked to my high school coach. And I wanted to study architecture, and he was always behind us getting education. He didn't want just to wrestle. Mm-hmm. And I think he saw that I had some, I don't know, I say stability, but more than just wrestling. Mm-hmm. And he was hoping that I would be disciplined by the time it got, when I came, I couldn't beat anybody with the other freshmen.
Really?
The upperclassmen, And the next year, literally, when I made the team as a sophomore, mm-hmm. I made the team because Jim Dushin graduated. and that I wanted to be a 177-pounder, but Chuck Jean was there. He won the national championship. Uh-huh. The year after I got beat so bad by him. I think Coach Nichols understood that. And when I scored the point, he says, hey, Chuck's going to be good.
Yeah.
Chuck was distracted when I took him down. I know that. But anyway, Les Anderson, I should say some things about him. Uh-huh. Les was so personable. One of the things that
I remember Les. He was a really nice guy. He was awesome.
I thoroughly enjoyed and could talk to him about things long before I could get up the courage to go talk to Coach Nichols about things. Yeah. And then out of the respect of you need this on a coaching staff. Uh-huh. That somebody's got to be the leader. It doesn't have to be your friend, but he's got to be able to be serious and hard with you in the expectations to have a team like that. And Harold Nichols was definitely that man. But then you also need to have a personable guy who's closer and can understand some of the problems with your team. And I called Coach Anderson for a while, but then he became Les because of that.
Wow.
Harold Nichols never became Harold.
Ah.
I call and he had the nickname. People all the time were calling him Nick.
Yeah.
I can tell you this: I called him Nick once in my entire life with him.
Really?
It was not while I was coaching wrestling. It was years later. I went back to visit him, and because I was back to do some event there, and I just said, I'm going to go visit Coach Nichols. I hadn't seen him for a good while, and I knew where his house was. I just went over, and he invites me in. We're sitting in the living room, and we're talking. And in the middle of that conversation, I have no recollection what all we were talking about. Lots of different things, probably. I called him Nick once. I don't know what he said over the next few minutes, because I'm thinking in my head, Ben, what are you doing? And I never did it again.
Really?
And it was over, I think, the respect that I had for him, that he was just, he wasn't, he was a man just like everybody else, but his position was to be respected.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that I didn't respect Les Anderson, I did totally. Mm-hmm. But those kind of elements I've seen in my own coaching. There's times that I have to be that man in the top. But then there's other times that you have to be very personable.
Yeah.
And those two men were incredible how they worked together during those 5 years where we won 4 NCAA titles.
Yeah, because that was really the glory days of Iowa State. Because you won 2 championships, right? 71 and 72.
Right.
Yep. And so
they were producing 2 to 3 champions every year.
Wow.
For several years during that time.
Wow.
But my freshman year, they had 8 out of the 10 guys are placing. Wow. So that's the way you win national titles. You get several that are placing, and then you get a couple that are running and win the whole thing.
Who was your main training partners back then, especially when you were winning your national championships?
Gable was a key one. He was a grad assistant the 2 years that I won.
Okay.
And he was training for the world and Olympic medals that he won.
Right.
And so on a very regular basis, though I was much bigger than him, he was the guy I trained with. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, Rich Bennick and Al Nason were 2 men that wrestled 177, and then Al, after I graduated, he would wrestle 90 in my weight class. And those are, I got to see both of them at a Hall of Fame, Iowa State Hall of Fame, and Rich Bennick was inducted in, and I hadn't seen him for years.
Wow.
He lives in Hawaii now, and I went back and saw him. It was fun, the 3 of us to be together.
Oh, I bet. Yeah. I bet. I mean, it's one of the I guess the. You guys are you and your brother are almost like folklores. There's like so many legendary stories about you guys, especially you guys being so important in Coach Gable's life, and Coach Gable being so important in your all's life, and you guys just trained together. We spoke about it. We talked like an hour as far as you guys and the training that you guys did together and all that type of stuff to just kind of get into what it was like to train not only in that era but also to train with a guy like Dan Gable.
I want to go back one step.
Yeah.
Because of my development through freshman, my sophomore year. Because I gave you the guys that were, because you asked about when I won the NCAA. But really, when I think of my development as a wrestler, my freshman and sophomore year at Iowa State were just incredible, and how I was learning, but I was not winning. I wasn't even part of the team as a freshman. Yeah. I did win the Iowa State Invitational.
Yeah.
But I would win it all 4 years. But that was just the beginning. That was not like the Midlands tournament or the Big 8 or the NCAA. It built confidence for me. But otherwise, I went to the Midlands and got beat twice.
Really?
And then the second year, I went to the Midlands and won one and got beat twice.
Wow.
And it would be 3 years before I would be competitive and place in it. And but during those 2 years, the people that were just essential to me was, first of all, I'll start down at the bottom, Dan Gable. I could not beat him. I was way behind him. Mm-hmm. He was relentless, and I often tell the kids when they come here and talk to me in a tournament like this that I was a pop-up dummy for Dan Gable. He'd take me down, he'd work me through until he pinned me, but I got right back up and in his face again. Yeah. I'm going to make it harder for you to do that again. I'm going to make it harder for you to do it again, time after time. And if you had to do it 10 times every practice, then it was 10 times. Mm. And the second one was Carl Adams. And I didn't wrestle with Carl very much, even all 4 years. Mm-hmm. But I did some. And he was very position-oriented and just disciplined and just they call him good-natured gentleman that knows what he's doing and an incredible drive in his heart. And then there was Dave Martin. Dave Martin would be a runner-up as a junior, and then he would win as a senior. Mm-hmm. And he was a 167-pounder. And he beat me over and over again. I believe by the end of my sophomore year, I was starting to frustrate him, if nothing else, because of my clumsiness. And then Jason Smith. Jason Smith won NCAA both my freshman and sophomore year.
Wow.
And he was a 167-pounder. And then 177 is Chuck Jean, and he won the NCAA twice.
Wow.
So all five of those men were five-time finalists, and only Dave Martin didn't win both of them.
Really?
And so here they're already doing that, except for Carl.
Yeah.
They're already doing that. And I couldn't stay on the mat with them. They beat me. Carl made the team. As soon as he started walking in that room, he made the team.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, I said, man, I guess you really had it tough if you come from New York. It's not like coming from northern Wisconsin, because I'm not ready to be on this team. And so those men completely changed me. And then I would say the weight class that I would take the next year was Jim Dushan.
Okay.
I couldn't beat Jim Dushan. There was one time. I remember putting him on his back, and he was floundering like a turtle on his back. And I thought, you've got to be kidding me. Jim Dushan is like Charlie Atlas.
Uh-huh.
And he lifted weights, and he was incredibly defined and super powerful.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I had this huge man on his back, floundering, trying to find some way to get some leverage. And he couldn't, because when you're on your back, you can't get your arms or legs in any good position. So I'm getting beat by all of those men who are, as a freshman, of course, because they're all varsity member. And then the next year, I make the team, and they still can beat me. But now I'm becoming competitive with them in practice time. And it was like this. I'm thinking, I just need to get through this room. These guys are going to graduate. I'll become a leader in this team someday, I think. But they'll have to leave. Mm-hmm. And I will never pass them. I'll never reach the level of competitiveness they are. My first 2 years, I could not imagine that I would be capable of doing what they were doing. And this is what Harold Nichols and Les Anderson, the atmosphere that they made in their room. Mm-hmm. People have asked me many a time what the practice was like. Mm-hmm. We came before 3:30, whatever class or whatever we were doing, and we walk in the wrestling room. In the first 5 minutes, we warm up on our own. If it was 6 or 8, man, it's time to get working. You pick a man, you start drilling, and then the work into hard goes. At 4:15, man, we're going to have a technique, and a technique would be selected by the coaches. I have no idea how they selected them. Mm-hmm. Today, I wished I'd sat with them and just said, how did you do this?
Yeah.
But they went through that technique. One of the three of them, Nichols and Anderson and Gable, would all three of them would be teaching during some of that. And then about 15 minutes, they'd show it to us, have us drill it a couple times, show us a couple more, and okay, man, get back to work. And we would wrestle hard until 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
And at 5 o'clock, it'd stop. And if the coach didn't say stop and the clock up there said 5 o'clock, Dave Martin would always make sure that we stopped. he was all looking at the clock.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so we would stop, and we would run in place as a team, captain leading us. 30 seconds of running in place 5 times.
Wow.
And practice is over.
Huh.
Coach gives whatever announcements needs to, and okay. We get a drink of water, and whoever wanted to stay, one more takedown, one more takedown, one more takedown. Mm. And you know who's in the middle of it. And slowly I put myself in it. Mm-hmm. And then my senior year, my brother John actually comes and trains with us. So he's in the room with us as well because he's training with Gable every day.
Yeah.
And it could be 4 or 5, it could be a dozen of us that would stay 15 minutes at least. 20, 30, 45. All right, you guys, I got to go. I'm going to miss supper. We cannot miss supper. But if it hadn't been supper, I don't know, we'd maybe stayed there for an hour or more. The dorms would stop and you'd have to go. And that's the atmosphere in which I was flourishing, and so were several other men.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really interesting that you talked about, because I honestly thought that you were just super successful right from the jump, but I guess not. I mean, it took years for you to get there, and to continue to plug away at those teammates of yours that you were talking about. Thanks Express. Wow, that's impressive. It's an interesting thing. If you get an atmosphere in a room, I don't remember ever being belittled by any of those guys that beat me so bad. I often see kids do that in practice today. Right.
Kids, young men. I even see coaches that will kind of badger guys to break them. Gable broke me over and over again. Chuck Cheen broke me over and over again. Jason Smith, I can remember just saying, you want to do something with Jason Smith, do it right away. He'll be distracted, whatever, he came from classes or whatever, and he'd start real slow. And I remember getting a takedown on Jason and then just working as hard as I could because I knew when he got back up, he's going to thrash me. But that was, it wasn't that we were belittling each other. It was just that we're playing our game and doing the best we can at it against each other, and that's the way you learn.
Wow. Yeah.
I see guys pushing the guys' heads down and doing that stuff, and I don't think there's any place for that in our sport. You score your points and get up.
Yeah. No, I agree. 'Cause I was usually on the wrong receiving end of the butt whoopings because I was a JV guy on Coach Gable's team for 4.5 years. So I've got plenty of, and plus, I mean, we have something very much in common. I used to wrestle Coach Gable all the time. It went in the early 90s. I was probably about the right size for him then, the right skill level, where he could get. And so I literally had the quote unquote pleasure of wrestling Dan Gable probably 3 times a week for 5 years, and it was. Yeah, it was it was a little rough. It was a little rough. So how did
you were small?
I was. I know. But because I actually talked to Coach Gable today. I texted him. I told him that I was going to have you on my podcast and just hey, what was Ben like? And he remembered. He said, ask him about he had a practice when he did really well against me. I think that helped him out with a lot of confidence. Did it help you when you could start like kind of closing the gap on a guy like Dan Gable? What did that do for your confidence?
Oh yeah. Of course. At first, I couldn't score any points. And he wouldn't stop until he pinned me every time. Once he pinned me, we're back up on our feet again.
Yeah.
We can start over again. I remember one time just saying to him, freshman, sophomore year, says, "Oh, Gable, I stumbled on that one. And let's do it over again." No, you keep fighting, and you need to learn how to stay off your back, and I need to learn how to get you tight and pin you.
Yeah.
So we went until he pinned me, and then we were able to get back up.
Back up.
But yeah, it took, I don't know at what point I finally started scoring. But I know by my senior year, it was becoming a whole lot more fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, and though, he was continually improving, and I was just improving faster enough that I could score on him then.
Yeah, because after your Iowa State days, then you guys started training more for the international competitions, and that was, that's where like the legendary, Gable Peterson brothers stories that I grew up hearing. That's when that really started to come to fold, right?
Well, it was my senior year that Dan asked John to come and train with him. which is an interesting story of the summer and how that all happened.
Yeah, how did that happen?
But when John came down and trained with us, the guys in the room initially before Christmas were beating him. And then he went to the Midlands and beat them.
Oh, yeah.
And they said, "Hey, what's the deal here?" He says, "We beat you in the practice room, but when we go in competition, you beat us." And John was learning a lot of things about, that kind of a wrestling room. He went to a small state university in Wisconsin, but they had a quality team. But they didn't have half a dozen people that you could go through to wrestle with. And in the Iowa State room, there was more than a half a dozen people that I could get a good, solid workout with, and all the way through to the top. And but that last year, I was college student. I go to classes every day. I'm the captain of the co-captain of the team with Carl, and John and Gable go to Tbilisi. So they're wrestling freestyle. They're wrestling freestyle themselves in an extra practice every day. And what ended up happening is after practice that year turned to freestyle.
Wow.
So now I'm going an hour and a half of folk style and taking our little break, and then 30, 40 minutes of freestyle.
Really?
And slowly I'm beginning to see this. They're getting ahead of me.
Uh-huh.
I mean, they've gone to the best competition in the world, and they come back home, and it's in their minds. I'm a college wrestler. I'm getting ready for college wrestling. And I remember very clearly one day in practice, and probably in the room, so it would have been probably that time afterwards, and I was frustrated over something that had happened in the scoring, that Dan or John or both of them were beating me. And I said to Gable, I need to stop wrestling folk style and just focus totally on freestyle and the Olympics next summer, like a red shirt season that people do. And Gable paused a little bit, and he says, "Peterson, this is his coaching coming out of him.
Yeah.
This oozed out of him at just various times in just tactful little comments. This is a key one, I think. I've never forgotten this. Is, Ben, what makes you think that you can make the Olympic team and win the Olympics, and you can't win the NCAA? You finish the NCAA and get that job done, and you'll have plenty of time to make the adjustments." I would be really way behind. I'd go to the the freestyle open in the spring, and I would get fourth.
Yeah.
That's not what I wanted to be able to do
to
make the Olympics. But Gable said that you'll have time to make the adjustments, and you finish this. And he's saying this as a grad assistant, coaching guys to win an NCAA title, individually and as a team. And he didn't lose sight of that, but he is also looking into this. Peterson could be ready for the Olympics. That's what coaches do.
Yeah. Because your first Olympic team was 72, and you beat Russ Hellickson to make the team. Is that correct?
Right.
I mean, that was probably a lot of people weren't maybe looking at that was going to happen, huh? Did you kind of? You said he took fourth. Did you take fourth like in the open and then beating him in the trials, huh? Wow. That's it. That's where it all came.
It's a whole nother story of how to explain.
Well, I want to hear it. I want to hear it. I mean, because we're talking Russ Hellickson here. I mean, that's not a small feat to tackle.
Russ and I had a little bit of history at the Midlands tournament, and we're both from Wisconsin.
Oh, I didn't. Okay, really?
Yeah, so
okay.
he wrestled at the University of Wisconsin, and
I
then
knew that.
and then when he graduated, he's 2 years ahead of me.
Mm-hmm.
And to say this, not disrespectful, it's just the facts.
Yeah.
When I was a sophomore, he was in my weight class, 190, at the national tournament. And I remember watching him wrestle. A guy from Princeton, and Delirious, Emil Delirious, and getting thrown on his back early in the first period, and beating the living daylights out of Emil, but losing. He couldn't score points. His tactics were very crude, and he was just a horse of a man, but he was not smooth. And I would wrestle Emil Delirious at the end of the wrestlebacks, next to the last one. So I beat him, then I go into for third and fourth. And he was so hurt, he just got out of the match. He stopped it. He'd forfeited.
Yeah.
And so that was my first scene of Russ on the mat. Well, the next year, I wrestled him in the Midlands. He's a horse. He crushed me. Actually, and then the next year, I wrestled him again, and he beat me again.
Wow.
So both my sophomore year and my junior year, I wrestled him, and he beats me. Then I wrestled him my senior year, and he had just won the bronze medal in the World Championships, where Gable won his gold medal.
Yep, 71.
And I beat him in overtime.
Wow.
It's a contented... he and his wife said I stole the match. But whatever, I win. So I'm just snuck in by the skin of my teeth, and I beat him. And then we go to, I don't remember for sure if we may have wrestled at the national tournament where I ended up fourth. He placed ahead of me, so I don't know if he won, beat me, or Bill Harlow from Oklahoma State beat me 9-0. In 1 point takedowns, it took me down 9 times.
Oh, wow.
And it was like, how am I ever going to beat this guy?
Right.
So the spring of my senior year, after the story I told you earlier about Gable saying, well, you'll figure it out.
Figure it out.
Bill Harlow never wrestled again.
Really?
I would never have to wrestle him again. It was 35 years, I think, later. I'm down at Oklahoma for the NCAAs.
Yeah.
And I have a display like this. And he comes up and he's standing there and I'm talking to other people, and he just very calmly waits until I'm done. And he steps up and he says, "My name is Bill Harlow. I don't know if you know me, but I wrestled for Oklahoma State." Of course I remember you, Bill. Why didn't you come to the Olympic trials? And he told me, he says, I was coaching full-time and teaching full-time in a school setting, a high school setting. I just have a new daughter, and I knew I didn't have time to train to what you needed to go to the Olympics, so I never wrestled again. And he says, "Man, you just drilled on me." It was one high crotch after another, mostly, that he scored on me. And he says, you were still a folk style wrestler. You beat me in folk style, in essence, is what you did. So, that was the point that John placed fourth in the same tournament. He was ready to quit and go home, and Gable had to do a little bit of fast talking to keep John to stay at Iowa State.
Really?
Yeah, for that spring before we went to the final Olympic trials, because they had to open, then they had the Olympic trials. And By the time we got to the Olympic trials, all three of us were able to win. And I would wrestle Russ Hellickson again in those Olympic trials. And I have it's interesting. Gable can tell you everything of every score of every match. I can't do that. But I have a recollection, I'll tell you this, when the adrenaline goes high, you remember. And I remember very specifically what happened in a flurry with Russ. And somehow, I have a bear hug on him. And the big old bear, because that's the way he's built.
Yeah.
And I lost my balance, and I fell on the mat, on my behind, and he fell on his knees right next to me. I'm sitting like this, and he's on all fours right next to me. I trained a flurry, and I immediately responded, correcting myself and attacking him. And before we were done, he was on his back on the other side of the mat.
Wow.
And he was pinned.
Really?
And so all of a sudden, I'd gotten him at the Midlands, and now I've gotten him again.
Yeah.
After he so physically just horsed me in the earlier matches. When we got to the training camp where we had to wrestle the 2 out of 3, and so I had to wrestle him one more time. And I don't know if it was a day or 2 days before I was to wrestle him, he was drilling or practicing with another guy. Tall, clumsy guy, kind of like me maybe. And he busted his knee, tore it to smithereens. And I wrestled him. He would not just forfeit it. He went out on the mat. And he couldn't do anything in that knee.
Wow.
And it was easy to beat him. I mean, it was like I was wrestling a one-horse man.
Yeah.
There were some statements made because of how young I was that by some of the leadership that maybe they should have something else.
Another wrestle-off or something.
Yeah, with somebody else.
Right.
And it never happened.
Yeah. Well, lucky it didn't, because you won the gold in '72. Now, is that when you beat? Was it Tediashvili?
Tediashvili beat me 4 years later, and he beat John that year.
Okay, because I know that was because obviously, like I said, I texted Coach Gable today because the thing that was like a big.
Struckoff is the man's name that was silver medal for me in '72.
'72. Okay. All right. Yeah. Yeah, because we'll talk about.
Struckoff was a Russian. Tediashvili was a Georgian.
Ah, okay. And that was like a big motivator. That was a big motivation. With a lot of you guys' training. I mean, as far as that was a guy that you guys were definitely all shooting for.
John wrestled him about 5 times. And had one match very close. He got pinned the first time. He definitely improved as time went on. And then Levan went up to my weight class.
Okay.
So I wrestled him 5 times. And again, I did the same thing. Had a couple matches really close. And then in the Olympics, he beat me 10-5.
Gotcha.
And that was the last one. We became, in a sense, good friends. The Iron Curtain comes down 14 years later, and he and his wife and one of his 2 sons came and was actually in my home. My wife had served him a meal in my home, and I brought all of them to the NCAA tournament.
No kidding.
And then John brought them back home to his place and stayed a couple of days there, and then he brought them to the airport and they flew back home. That was fun to do that. And, and John was in Tbilisi various times through the years, and has visited. I don't know. He doesn't always find Levan at home, but sometimes he has.
Wow.
He'd find his wife home.
Really? Wow, that's impressive.
Levan is he's out and about just like any of us do. So those are memories of things that you work through. The Russ and I, Russ would the knee would recover and heal, and I would be talked into go to Wisconsin, and they found me a job, and I worked just down the street a ways from the university for an architecture firm, because that's what I'd majored in.
Mm-hmm.
And for a year and a half, and I trained with the university team the whole time.
Oh, wow.
And so Russ and I became very good workout partners.
Wow.
And so we were on several, World Cup team,
Mm-hmm.
the Pan Am team, exchange trips with the Soviets. Probably up to as many as 10 different U.S. teams that we were on together.
Uh-huh.
And then we practiced together many a time.
Wow.
So today, Russ and I are great friends.
That's awesome. Wow. No, was Lee Kemp was probably around at the time.
That a little bit later.
A little bit later.
Lee,
So do you have some
towards
interaction
the
with
end
him?
of our time, then Lee started coming in.
Okay, all right. Did you get a chance to train and be like a part of in that era, or he came in after you?
I remember being on the mat once with Lee.
Uh-huh.
You could not get a hold of his leg.
That's what I've heard. He's so hard to get to.
and we didn't go at it for a long time, but it was like, this guy is there's no way to open him.
Yeah.
Make an attack on him. Yeah, he was very quiet. I would years later, have him come to camp as a clinician once, and he had a business. He sold had a car dealership up in Minnesota for several years, and he told me he hadn't been on a wrestling mat in years. And I remember having him. He comes to camp and he tells me that. He said, "I don't know what I'm going to teach." And I just, I'd been in this situation myself before, and I just thought, he's not forgotten this stuff.
Yeah.
And I told him, I says, "Lee, just go and grab a hold of somebody and start moving around, and then tell them what you're doing." And we had two different teaching places, and he was teaching at the biggest one first, and then he was going to teach some younger kids in another smaller facility. Well, I got him introduced and got him started down here, and then I left and went up to the other one to get that one set, tell him what to do, and the other clinician that was going at the beginning, how we were going to do the transition. And then I went back to this, and on the way down, I'm thinking, Lee hasn't been on the mat for over 10 years. He says he doesn't remember anything. And it's a big pole shed that is where the mats are in, right? And it's real quiet. And I come in and I'm thinking, man, is there trouble? Is he lost it? I walk in there and the kids are all drilling the move that he's been teaching. And it was a father-son camp, this first one. And he's talking to the dads. And they're just, there's a half a dozen or more of them just around him, quizzing him, glued to him. I says, "Not having any problem teaching, are you, Lee?" He says, "No, it's going fine."
Oh, man.
You're not going to forget.
No, you can't.
I've done that myself a few times. People have asked me, "Well, what do you do in this situation?" Let me get in it and play around for a while, and then I'll tell you.
Oh, that's great. You mentioned like opening up homes and stuff like that. You were just telling me a story just now about like when you guys, because Jim Gibbons, I was obviously talking to him before here, and he actually attributed a lot of some of the training that he started incorporating at Iowa State to you guys, what you guys stumbled upon at the Gable household back in the day. When Matt Gable told you, we weren't working hard enough for you and your brother and coach.
So we're going to have a month in Gable's house.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it wasn't more than a week. It was several days that we are going for 2 hours in the morning and 2 hours in the afternoon, and maybe one more that could be a little past it. And then in the evening, and those they had a lot of wrestling, that had been lifting in the morning, a lot of drilling in the morning, but mostly in the afternoon is just wrestle with each other, just go hard with each other. And in the evening, we would do such things as, Gable loved doing this, is he'd play cards with push-ups, and whatever the number was on the card, that's how many push-ups he got. And he was always mad when we got the big numbers. Yeah. and we were always mad when we got the big numbers. But anyway, we've been at this for several days, and his mother, who's cooking our meals 3 times a day, she decides that this supper needs to be extra special because we've been working so well throughout the week. And so she's in the backyard grilling this very nice piece of roast. Yeah. And she was a good cook. And whatever else was going to go with it. And John and I go in, take our shower, because we've finished our afternoon practice, and Dan's dad comes home. His dad's he had his own real estate business. Huh. And he comes home from work, and he goes in the backyard, and Dan and he have an argument, and it was hot. They were raising their voice at each other. I had no idea what they were talking about, but I surmised some things that maybe kind of bothered me, and one of them was how much I was eating. I'm going to eat them out of house and home. I keep doing this because that's, when I trained at Iowa State, I got the permission to go to the football training table.
Oh, really?
As an upper weight class, I'm constantly just needing to monitor my weight higher, not lower. Yeah. And so I know how to eat, and I need to, and we're working these 3 times a day. I gotta eat. Yeah. So I'm thinking maybe they're upset about that. John says, well, no, I know he might be mad about the shower. The water is dripping down between the wall and the shower. The seam was broken out, and the water was dripping down the basement. And John was concerned about that. And I said to him, I says, are we going to have to leave? He said, no, Ben, just wait a little while. John had stayed at their house 4 other times with Dan, and this was the first time that I'd stayed with him. I'd done various places with him, but I'd never been in his home before this week. And I was a little uncomfortable, and so I said that to John. He said, no, just wait a little while. A few minutes later, we're done with our shower, and we're in the bedroom where we just slept, and I guess we're probably finishing dressing. And Dan comes in shuffling his feet and mumbling and just kind of. Dad's upset. He says we're not working hard enough. And it was like he was struggling to fully get this out and acknowledge it. And he says we need to run in the morning. So tomorrow morning we're going to get up and we're going to run at least a full mile around town, and then we're going to finish at the high school track, which was right across the street almost from their house. Yeah. The school was, the track was around the corner a little bit. And we're going to run sprints in that track. Okay? The next morning we get up and we do this. Yeah. And I wasn't used to getting up at 7 o'clock a lot. I ran a ton in the 1,000 times I ran a mile in sprints in the evening. But I did not do it in the morning. I can remember just feeling, I worked hard yesterday and this is a little difficult. Okay. We get done, we're running this track, and I look up in the street, and it the street's a little bit over the stadium, if I remember right. And Dad's parked his car, and he's standing outside of it watching us. And then his dad, he sees he's content. He gets in the car and he goes off to work. We don't see him until 5 o'clock at night.
Really?
Not another word was ever said about it.
Wow.
After the Olympics were over, and you think back to some of the things, okay, what was it? People are constantly asking, what were you doing?
Yeah.
And I say, that was a key factor. I mean, how close I won to the Olympics. I ran before breakfast almost continually until the games.
Really?
And even after we got to the training camp and the coach was running his practice, I was still up running before breakfast, and so was John and Dan.
Really?
Yeah. And so till Mr. Gable passed away, whenever I would see him, I'd say, thank you for making us run. I did not like it then. So I don't know if it was the first day, second, or third day. I watched my weight. I mean, we're working out 4 times a day. Yeah. We're getting 3 great meals, but my weight's starting to
it's starting to come down. Yeah.
And I'm getting concerned because I'd wrestled 190 in college, and I labored for 3 years to get to fully 190-pounder. Now I'm 8 pounds heavier. And I can't keep my weight above 198 every day with that kind of work.
Mm-hmm.
So I made a comment to Dan. I says, you told me once that if you work, you couldn't eat if you didn't work out. And that was a plan that you had when you're training.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't eat if I don't work out. So it makes me work out three times a day so I can get 3 meals in. I says, Dan, my weight's plummeting. And we're working out 4 times a day, and I'm only eating 3.
Mm-hmm.
And I said it kind of in the chest, and I wasn't sure how I was going to how that's going to deal with it. Maybe am I going to get out of one of the practices or what? I was just almost lighthearted, I think, if I remember right, in the way I said it to him. Later that day, I'm taking our last shower after our 4th practice. And Gable comes out of the kitchen, and he comes in, and John and I are finishing up our showers, and he's going to have his. And he looks at me, and he says, Ben, you go out in the kitchen, and my mother has something for you. Okay, I wonder what this is all about. I go out in the kitchen, and here is a full plate of scrambled eggs, bacon and toast, all ready for me to eat. And I says, Mrs. Gable, what's this? It's not breakfast time now. We eat that in the morning. She says, Ben, as long as you are in this house training, you will never go without food.
Wow.
So I sat down and ate the whole thing and was able to keep my weight.
Keep your weight there.
Oh. All but one day.
Yeah.
There's a picture in our book at the training camp. And my younger brother came to visit us, and our high school coach. Probably motivate us a little extra for that,
Yeah.
Coach runs his practice and it's done. Mm-hmm. We're going to do one more.
Right.
We went for at least 45 minutes. And this is, I couldn't find the floor. Next thing I know, my feet are in the air and I didn't even know it. I had to be incredibly dehydrated. And my balance was being affected by it. I would go and weigh in, and I had lost 14 pounds that afternoon.
Wow.
Now you're talking to a man who showed up at 203, and I walked out at 189. So I was 9 pounds underweight. And I just said, we're not doing 4th workout tonight. But that's, you do things like that, you make adjustments. And today I laugh about it. And any of the hydration things
Yeah.
that the trainers, if they'd have seen me in that condition,
Yeah.
oh man, they'd gone through the roof.
Oh yeah.
I mean, looking, and all of a sudden my feet, I thought they were there, and they're there. I said, maybe it's time for we be done. I drank water that night and just got my weight up and says, okay, we got to monitor this a little bit. And,
Yeah.
and we were training in Minnesota
Yeah.
in August, super humid.
Oh yeah.
So it was easy to cut weight. And I was saying 14 pounds in almost 3-hour practice.
Wow. That's crazy.
And you couldn't do that.
Oh God. No. No.
Yeah, and then when I see, trainers shouldn't let that kind of thing happen.
Yeah.
But you don't die.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't die.
You don't die.
You don't die. If you're, I mean, it wasn't my first day in doing
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
We worked up to that. Russ Hellickson did some training with Gable as well.
Mm-hmm.
And he says he told me one day not too long ago, he says, I tell people every once in a while the way we trained around Gable. Mm-hmm. And he says, people over and over again say, you're either exaggerating greatly or you're just downright lying. I says, Russ, what are you telling them you're doing? What were we doing? What were you doing with Gable? So he goes and tells me what
Yeah.
Gable had structured for him to do. That's exactly what we did. But for months, we built up to it, and then literally for years. First of all, we were already a top university level athlete,
Right.
and now we're going higher.
Yeah.
now.
Higher. Yeah.
And intensity we've done over and over again, day after day. It was easy for us to do it.
Yeah.
Well, not easy, but it was very possible.
Yeah. Yeah.
And very, very workable.
Mm-hmm.
That was the thing. Gable wanted to experience playing the game the best possible. And you know the story about him running and couldn't collapse.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Tell that for the people that haven't.
Dan told, I remember him saying the spring of that year before the Olympics, of saying that he wanted to know what it was like when these marathon runners collapse at the finish line. So he got a friend to get in the car, and he says, I'm going to run 6 miles. I want you to meet me at such and such a place. And then at that point, I'm going to just run until I collapse. And I want you to, I don't want to die, so you pick me up when I collapse. And he tells about wrestling like that when he was in high school, that he couldn't, he crawled out of the wrestling room.
Yeah.
But he got to just get himself exhausted. He just kept running. He never collapsed. So, we kind of wondered about that. He told me, he said, man, damn, you want to know what that feels like? It's going to be horrible. I don't want to know what that feels like. I'll go hard. I'll push myself to exhaustion, but I'm not going to push myself till I collapse and die, okay? And maybe die. I don't know. Not die, but maybe die, whatever. So John and I are at the Munich Olympics, and we're done with our wrestling, and we get tickets to go to the stadium. We're going to watch track and field whole session. And we get there, and it's the decathlon is doing their last run. And they do 10 different events, and the last one is they're going to run a mile. A mile isn't that big, isn't that long, except that these are 225-pound men. They've been doing shot put, javelin, high jumping, pole vaulting, hurdles, and now they're going to run that mile. And they've done 5 for yesterday and now 5 today. These men are exhausted. So they're not going to break any records. Mm-hmm. They run their laps, run 3 laps, and figuring out who's going first and who's going to get what points to how they're going to place, and And I started watching them as they come down the fourth road. And John and I are sitting in a perfect position. Here's the finish line as they go around, and we're sitting right up here, maybe 20 rows up. We can see right down. We can see all of their faces as they go down that last 100 yards. And all of a sudden, as they're coming down this, they've been sprinting away, strong and powerful and totally alert, and all of a sudden they start weaving. And they come to the finish line, and people are catching them as they stumble to the turf. And we watch this one after another as they come to the finish line. Every one of them finished. Not a single one of them finished, and we're thinking, Gable wanted to know what it felt like for them. And he says, no, he wanted to know something further than that. None of those men collapsed.
Yeah.
And the reason they didn't is they shut their engines down a little too early and couldn't get through it. And Gable, he didn't have that finish line. He just was going to go and go until he needed a finish line.
Yeah.
And then maybe he could have sprinted it to the and feel that, because those guys are exhausted. I'm not saying that. But if you'd have told them that all of a sudden they had to run around the end of that track, every one of them would have finished.
Yeah.
So to do that, well, Dan has heard me tell this story, but you'll have to ask Dan about how his daughter actually did it. You ask Dan about that.
Yeah.
I won't tell you that story.
Okay.
Dan needs to tell that story.
I'm gonna have to ask about that.
His daughter ran track and was very good at it. And she did what Dan tried to do, but couldn't do.
I'm definitely.
When Dan tells that story, it's my own daughter could do it. He'd come to camp and tell the story.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a
Look,
great
I'm gonna have another podcast with him. Yeah, for sure. That's one of them I'm definitely gonna ask.
Sorry, Dan.
No, but
he would tell that story to our campers.
Oh, really?
He came to
probably the campers like,
campers.
I don't want to do that.
We loved it.
Oh, that's great. Well, I mean, because after 3 Olympic teams, the one boycott in the 80, see, it's 72, 76
in Montreal,
and Montreal in 80. I mean, it's almost the 80 situation. Because I know I talked to Lee about the 80 situation, about the boycott. That had to be just a heart-wrenching moment. The boycott's announced. Do you remember back then, as far as like kind of how that, not really how it went down, but just just what it was like to be involved in that situation?
Well, first of all, the way Lee would respond is going to be different than I was able to. I understand it totally. He's a world champion.
Yeah, I know.
He'll be a world champion afterwards.
Yeah. But
the timing is wrong.
Yeah.
I always tell people that the way I won the 3 medals, and be able to do that is right out of college, perfect time. But not everybody has the timing to come out of college to be ready for the Olympic team.
Yeah.
And it was how things went with Russ. Russ always he and his wife always said that I stole the medal from him.
Yeah.
Well, his knee stole the medal from him.
Yeah.
But the figuring out how you're gonna just deal with one medal or one Olympic after another, and then you all of a sudden get to the 3rd and you're not able to go.
Right.
But you've already been there. But Lee would never be able to go.
Yeah.
David Schultz comes in and beats him because I had 8 years that I was the top in the nation. He had about 6.
but one Olympics was in the middle, not two.
Yeah.
And so when you think of that kind of a setting, I look at the 80 Olympic medal as it was things bigger than my wrestling. My family's bigger than my wrestling. My relationship with Jesus Christ is bigger. My country is more important, and that medal is a clear proof of that. As not just my country, but what was going on in the world. In the time, I said, this will do nothing. And I can remember saying, let us go over there. We've got teams that can make them look dumb in their own front yard. Let us go over there and do that. But I say today, President Carter understood things better than me, and I'm thankful for that because he's the president.
Right.
and Ronald Reagan clearly did over the next 8-10 years.
Right.
So that 10 years later, that Iron Curtain comes down and the Soviet Union dissolves.
Right.
And John and I were in the Soviet Union 3 times. Yeah, he was too. I was one of my trips was separate from his. And so we saw that. And then afterwards in 80, he went over there several times with Athletes in Action.
Oh, that's right.
And I remember him coming back during the 80s and just saying that the Soviet Union is collapsing. They can't even function. They can't even bring their crops out of the fields.
Really?
And their wheat is just rotting in the fields by the millions of acres. And it was, I can say this to you. What I saw happening over there when I was there in the 70s is like, how can this function? How can they be a threat to America? The only way they can be a threat to America is the leadership has taken all of the money that they do have and make it a threat to America and their military. But otherwise, this is a third world country. And so when John comes home and say it's going to collapse, I can remember saying this straight to him. It's going to take, it's going to be a major civil war. It'll be the lives of many, many people. One handful of people died.
Wow.
It was such a paper mache that nobody would stand up for it.
Wow.
And when they ordered the police and the military to stop the protesters, after the handful were killed, they said, we won't do this anymore. And they stopped. So if I didn't go to that wrestling, that Olympics, to have the Soviet Union dismantled, that was worth it.
Wow, that's a great perspective on that.
Yeah, and we would have brought millions of dollars into their country, and
that's true.
And it needed to be stopped. And I think Carter's started what Reagan was able to continue and finish. Unfortunately, our presidents in that setting were wise enough to do that.
Wow, that's a great perspective. I've never heard it put that way, honestly, about the Olympics in '80.
And they say this, I went to the 3 times that I was there. First time, that's the way I've described it, little crude, but it's cold. No, I was in the Cold War. All 3 of my medals are Cold War. Okay? All of my wrestling was Cold War. First time, they're already dirty, rotten communists. Can't trust any of them. They're things that I do every week, maybe every day. I'd be put in jail if I lived in this country. And I read about things like that. And it motivated me in my wrestling, but it also made me very skeptical about anybody there. Well, I met a few people, and by the time I went there the second time and was done with that trip, I'm saying, there's a lot of very normal, very gracious, helpful people here, just like I know in America.
Mm-hmm.
They're not all dirty, rotten communists. They don't like this.
Mm-hmm.
When I went the third time, I came back home saying the vast majority of them they hate this more than I do.
Wow.
They live in it. They can't leave it. And they've learned to survive in it. And I remember just coming back and saying, oh man, God, why did you put me, why do I get on the plane and these people are looking at me? I remember just more than once of seeing the people as we would leave, sometimes the wrestlers, but other people as well, as we're getting on the plane. And there's a longing in their eyes they would like to go with us. And the friendships and the conversations, and all of this is, man, you're going to leave, man? I wish I could go with you. And more than once when I stepped on that plane, I would look back and I'd say, the only reason I get to go on the plane and they're staying here is because I was born in Paul and Esther Peterson in Comstock, Wisconsin. And of course, I'm thanking God that it was His work in doing that, and nothing that I did. And so that last go over there today, I speak of it too lightly, maybe in some respects, because Russ Hellickson and Lee together, the two of them, could have been incredible because both of them are on that team. Here's a coach and here's a wrestler. That both of them are very close to the point that they could be both gold medalists.
Right. Yeah. Wow. That's it's such an interesting perspective about that. Because I never even put the two and two together as far as your 3 medals being during the Cold War.
I was motivated. I read enough stories.
Wow.
About what the Soviet Union did to Christians. That's why I was looking at my back at, can I trust any of these people?
Yeah.
And by the third time, I'm saying, I can trust a lot of these people.
Wow.
I need to watch and take some time to see about this, but these aren't thugs at every corner. They're normal people that are just putting up with what they've been given.
Yeah, you mentioned. You brought up a couple times your faith. How strong your faith is, and I know that's something that's well documented. You have a new book that you're promoting and stuff. Go into how that's impacted your life and where that started and where it came from and just everything about it.
Well,
I know you and I had this discussion earlier. I've got to get better in it.
Just recently, I printed this. And it's a picture of me when I was 12 years old, using crutches. And this is key of how God, I guess I'd say, He made Himself important to me. I was at my family, my parents brought me on a regular basis to a Christian church assembly where the gospel was given. I heard it repeatedly. I knew what it was. I knew I was a sinner. I knew my sin had to be judged by a holy, righteous God. But I also understood that Jesus Christ had paid the penalty for my sin. But I was a young kid just running and playing and listened to that, understand it, was moved by it. I didn't deny it. I agreed with it. But at the same time, I was growing up, and I needed, is this going to be mine or is it just my parents? I went to a summer camp, Bible camp, where you get to play like crazy, and then you have Bible lessons every night and then in each morning. And I enjoyed them. I enjoyed the playing, the swimming, and all the ball games and field all afternoon. That was the best time of it. But I enjoyed all parts of it. And so when the gospel was given on one of those occasions, I raised my hand being interested in knowing that my sins were forgiven. And the next day, not my own counselor in the little cabins that each group of kids were in, but another man came and talked to me. And he says, I saw last night that you indicated some interest in understanding that. And he says, would you want me to go through the plan of salvation of what Christ has done for us? And so he did. And I agreed with it. I agreed that I was a sinner. I agreed that understood God had to judge that, or he wouldn't be. He's not righteous, but he is, so he has to judge it. And that he paid the penalty for that when he sent his son to die for me on the cross. And then third, that I accept him. I trust in him. I walked through that whole thing with him. I agreed with him. He asked me to pray. I spelled that out in prayer to God. But the whole time, in the back of my mind was, hurry up and get done. It's swimming time. I want to go swimming. I think I was belittling today I say that's the most important message that this world has ever heard. And the greatest love story that you can ever imagine. That God loves us and sent his son to die for us. I remember when he was done, he says, okay, you go back and be with the rest of the kids. I go over to the edge of the lake, and there's several steps to get down to the water where everybody's swimming. And I look over to the side, and there's the clock, and there's less than 5 minutes left, and everybody's got to be out. I can't go over to my cabin and get my trunks. I wouldn't be back in time. So I just stood there, longing to be in that water. I probably wouldn't have thought much, a whole lot about it, although I wouldn't have forgotten what he said and what the man expressed to me. But I say I was playing with God. What's most important to you, Ben? Is it that love story that I've given to you, and this man has expressed to you, and you've heard over and over again, or is that swimming more important? The next morning, my family came to get me. And everybody, all 6 children, 5 of the 6 children were in the car. Dad and my oldest brother were working. The rest of them came. My second oldest brother, Tom, was driving the car. He'd only had his driver's license for a couple months. And somehow he took his eye off the road and the traffic in front of us that was waiting for people, the highway, going, and people going to the left and waiting to do that. And we slammed in the back end of the car that was waiting. And I was sitting sideways. I had no seat belts back then. Right. I slammed into the seat in front of me and broke that bone right here. Wow. And not very often do you break the thigh bone. You break down here a lot, but this one, And the only thing they knew to do is to lay me flat on my back while it healed. 1 week in a trough, 4 weeks with weights, traction, pulling it out in a big old cage around me. You see pictures, cartoons. I was in that for 4 weeks. Okay, and then he says, Ben, it's set, but we need to keep it there for 6 more weeks. We're going to put a cast on you. It'll go from your toe all the way up around your waist, and you won't be able to do more than just sit up a little bit.
Oh, my goodness.
I was in that for 6 more weeks at home. So 11 weeks I was flat on my back.
Whoa.
My pastor came to talk to me at the church that we attended. It was cold as could be. All I can say, I wasn't even respectfully, well, maybe I could say it was respectfully cold. I said nothing almost, whatever he talked about. And he came and saw me in the hospital. He came and saw me at home. And then he talked to me a few times afterwards through the winter. And well, I was on crutches forever, it seemed. There's a verse in the Bible that Jesus gives this. He says, Ben, if you will fall on the rock, and I am the rock, you'll be broken. But if I fall on you, you'll be crushed. A lot of people struggle with that verse. It's a picture of training. It's a picture of breaking a wild stallion to become useful. It's a picture of a wrestler being coached who is all over the place. Great talent maybe, but he can't put it in to make it score points and win a wrestling match. And a coach tames you to do that. Some places during the next spring and into the summer, my thinking was just, hey, the thing was maturing. As a 12-year-old boy, I would have turned 13 that summer. And I went back to that camp again.
Wow.
Because we did it every summer. And I went and asked for answers.
Wow.
I didn't sheepishly raise my hand and wait for somebody to come to me. I went to them. And then at the end of it, they had the time of the last night, you could tell of things you learned during that week. And I remember standing and saying that I trusted Jesus Christ as my Savior, and I wanted to live for Him. And then I went home in front of all of those adults in my church. I did the same thing.
Wow.
So I say God broke me at that point.
Wow.
And He's been doing it ever since, because
awesome.
A horse can be tamed once,
awesome.
but he needs to be kept and reminded that he needs to be controlled by by the reins, not his own desire.
I love it. Wow, that's an amazing story about your faith. And leading up to that, you have a new book. Talk about your book. I want to hear about it.
Road to Gold is actually the story of John and I from the time we were grade school kids until we went to Munich, Germany.
Oh, wow.
And how we got started wrestling. There's some things early on that for us is today we got grade school programs or clubs and tournaments like crazy. None of that was happening. If you started wrestling in junior high, you were fortunate that your school had it. And actually what we had at our school in Cumberland was a PE class. And that was all. And since I broke my leg in 7th grade, I couldn't do a PE on the entire year. I was out of it.
That's true.
So I didn't wrestle until my junior year. My 8th grade year.
Wow.
And I got to wrestle one match. I was supposed to wrestle 2, and one kid didn't show up. And I won the match. And after my mother had said, years before with my older brother, no son of mine will ever wrestle. I played basketball, and it was horrible. They let me play one game out of the whole junior high season. But I was clumsy and still recovering in many respects from the broken leg, probably. And so all of a sudden, I'm in the setting that maybe I want to wrestle. And so I can remember asking my mother, after all the things that I heard when Tom wanted to wrestle, is that would be good, Ben. And you do that. And she was totally behind it. But by then, our 2 oldest brothers had Phil wrestled for 2 years, and then went to the University of Wisconsin and played football with them. And Tom wrestled all 4 years. He would have been in the Army by the time, a year after, but by the time I was a sophomore, he was in the Army. But so John and I actually started together, because John, though he's a year older than me, he didn't wrestle as a freshman in high school. He wrestled in 8th grade junior high PE class. And he says, I'm going to be a wrestler. but he injured his knee playing football. And the doctor told him, is if you don't let that knee heal, you may never play varsity sport again. So he did. He stayed out of sport all winter long. Well, in his sophomore year, he wanted to wrestle, and I wanted to be with him.
Wow.
And so we started together, and there's some fun stories that are in here of us going through that high school experience, going from losing every varsity match we wrestled in. He wrestled one varsity match as a sophomore. I wrestled 7 as a freshman, and we got pinned every time.
Really?
And the next year, we won about 65% of our matches. And then the third year, John won all but maybe 3 matches. I won about 85% of mine. I qualified for the state tournament, but John did not. But we're progressing. I say in many respects, and you'll see this in this book, that John initially slung me. And Phil, our oldest brother, Phil, who played football, he got us to lift weights. And I tell that about the progress. It's so important.
Yeah.
But John wanted to be a state champion. He never qualified. But I have another year to train, and I've watched the way he trained. And if I train like him, I could be a state champion next year. And some of the most the intense 12 months that I had in my life was the 12 months before my senior year wrestling.
Wow.
And but I pinned myself in the finals. And the most important match of my life is that loss.
Really?
I learned more from that loss, where I stepped over a wizard. Position is key.
Yeah.
The family will stand behind you. I'll never forget.
Wow.
There's a story in here about my brother Phil coming.
Say that again. Position is key.
Position is key. And it is in life and in wrestling. You get out of position, you can have the greatest muscle and condition you want, but you're not going to win if you don't keep position. And I lost position, and I should have beat the guy. He pinned me the previous year, but I should have beaten him. But not when I step over a wizard. He pinned me within seconds. And my brother Phil had come home from the Army, and I saw him walking down the bleachers. And I'm telling the whole story of this here.
No. This is going to make more people intrigued about by that, because I can't wait to read this.
He comes down the bleachers, and I see him. So I pause for him, and he turns away from me. I'm crying, he's crying, only I didn't know he was crying because he tried to hide it. And then I realized, this is my big brother, my hero, the kind of guy that I wanted to be like. And he's crying because he staked his happiness on me.
Wow.
You don't forget that. And I never forgot that. I don't think any other match I ever wrestled it. My family and Phil, this is my big brother that was the bully when I was a little kid, in many respects. And now he's staking his happiness on me. He's this Big Ten academic All-American and starting offensive line captain for the university team. And he's crying.
Wow.
And he's in the Army, and then he comes home to see me. This tough guy is crying over me. I'll never forget that.
That's amazing.
So I various stories like that are put in here. And then how I got to college.
Yeah.
It has God's fingerprints all over it. And of course I meet Gable and all the rest of those Iowa State people that we talked about earlier. And I spell out the whole thing. I talk about Gable's loss. I talk about wrestling with Taylor, the 400-pound man, and a few other things.
This is absolutely a must read. I can't. I mean, I'm gonna buy one when we're done with this, and I'm telling, because I'm not a huge reader, but I can't wait to read it.
How we transitioned into the Olympics, all of that is in here.
In there.
Pray for me that I can somehow get to. I've been longing ever since I finished this to write a second book called Life with Gold. And I've written 14 chapters, but I come and do this stuff too much, and you got to stay home and write. And I'm not getting it done.
But this has got to be great for him. Like I said, I've we're here obviously at Fargo. If people can understand when this episode does come out, we're here at Fargo. Biggest, largest tournament in the world, and so we got some background noise here because we're here in an arena. Yeah. But it's the amount. It's and even like when we did the camera switch here, the amount of people that stop by and hear a story. But they only get to spend 5-10 minutes with you because they want to go trade singlets and they got to go wrestle or whatever. I mean, with this podcast, they can listen to this and keep it on repeat if they want because there's so much knowledge here with you and your life and just everything that just innovative. Just the wrestling move books, and then you got this, and this is this is just amazing.
I'm going to say this in back of this. Here's a picture of John and I.
Yeah.
When we each got a gold medal. We finished our final match within seconds of each other. Wow. So this is actually on my mat. He walked over to as soon as he was done.
Really?
So those kind of stories of the Olympics are in there. I have posters here.
Yeah.
I actually have 5 posters of myself. I also have a poster here of Mike Houck, who was America's first Greco-Roman world champion.
Yeah.
And we're in the middle of a championship. So anybody who buys a book today gets one of his posters.
Oh, wow.
And then I did not write this book. I could not write this book, but this is 730 pages.
Oh my goodness.
Of takedowns.
Wow.
And Tom Justice, who came from Colorado originally.
What's that book called? In case people want to purchase it, online and Amazon or whichever.
The Takedown.
Oh, okay.
It was called The Takedown, and I don't know if they can get this information on their screen and just put that code that they could
absolutely
could get it through the mail. There's nothing. Well, Bobby Douglas made a little book. This compared to this, it's like this. A great book.
Yeah.
He actually used us Iowa State guys. I'm in it a little bit because I was a sophomore at Iowa State when he was doing it, and so he used some of us. Carl Adams actually made a technique book, and so did Gable.
Yeah.
There's a Japanese man who made a technique book for takedowns. Nothing like this. It's a fraction of page after page of one technique after another. Folk style, freestyle kind of techniques, fireman's carry, singles, doubles, high crotches, Greco throws. So I say this should be in every wrestling club and every wrestling room.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Should be in every high school, every college should have this to be able to see it.
Wow.
The video it's a hard sell in some ways because all the kids wanted to watch the video.
I know.
I had a kid here just a couple hours ago that came by, and he looked at this and he says, "I watch videos and it just goes quick, but I can look at the actual position of every part of the body of this."
Yeah.
And it says he caught the beauty of this.
Yeah.
This is all we had. So all of you young guys who like watching the videos, great. Learn what you can. But if you really want to break down, evidently one of your young high school wrestlers understood this. I asked him, because not everybody looks at this book. But he was looking at it and he was analyzing it. He says, "You want to be a coach, don't you?" "Yeah."
Wow.
Yeah. He says, "Then you need to get this."
Absolutely. I love it. Love it. You were mentioning it. I've got to ask and just entice the listeners moving forward. But you mentioned that this is like basically a manual of you and your brother growing up and going through your wrestling journey together. What's a funny story, like maybe a training story or a funny backyard brawl story back in the day involving you and your brother? It can be in the book or not. I mean, just give us a little prelude.
You usually ask me about the serious things.
No, I like the funny. I'm a funny guy.
Okay, so yeah, we're my mom says we couldn't wrestle to begin with because she thought it was a phony vulgarity of pro wrestling, and I understand it.
Yeah.
And she thought it was boxing, and it was a fight, and you could injure each other.
Uh-huh.
Well, our oldest brother Phil, he's gonna help us younger kids play games, and he's gonna organize at different times. So one day he took and got 4 fence posts and put them in the corners of the out in the yard, just out in the grass, and then put some twine from Baylor, a twine that held the hay together, and he put it around for ropes on the ring. So we've got a boxing ring, and then he puts us in the ring. I mean, he's too big. He can't box with us. So before we were done, John is a year and a half older than me. We're on our knees. Dan is 2.5 years younger than me. Uh-huh. So Dan's on his feet, and John and I, one at a time, not both together, we're boxing him, I think. And we might have had some gloves before we were done, but otherwise it was just our fists. And if the gloves, it was being just normal gloves, not a boxing glove by any means. Dan was a feisty, really an excellent athlete himself, and so he's defending himself, doing very well. In fact, I remember getting punched by him rather definitely, and because I had to stay on my knees and I couldn't get away from him. But I don't know how long the ring was up, but Dan was young enough that when he took a shower, Mom helped him. And she sees all of this black and blue punched from our knuckles in his chest. The whole thing is black and blue little spots. And she says, "What in the world is this?" So she calls. Dan won't tell him. Tell her. Okay, then we call the brothers. "What have you guys been doing?" And we had to tell her, "Well, that's from the boxing." The ring came down. That was never done again.
Oh yeah, never done. That's it. No more ring.
Again.
Oh, that's
Phil was incredibly imaginative, and he had to play sports. He was a very, very good student. Was actually going to law school after he got out of the Army and practiced law for the state of Wisconsin.
Wow.
Working under the Attorney General for decades.
Wow.
But he made us an outdoor baseball field. Well, he had all of us helping. And that baseball field had a raised pitcher's mound because it went over a hill. We couldn't see the outfield. But the pitcher's mound was up. It had a backstop. It had dugouts. I remember digging in the dirt with a spoon, helping make it because I was probably 5-6 years old. It had bleachers, and he was putting lights up.
Wow.
And got a shock, and we all to this day can remember him running to the house, hollering the whole way, "I'm dead, I'm dead." Well, we played, the 5 of us boys, and once in a while Beck would come and join us as well. She's in the middle of us, and she could defend herself quite well. So we had 6 of us to play, and once in a while maybe we could get some neighbors or whatever. Well, one day, Tom and Phil are gone. And we're down there playing, and there's an apple tree just to the on the third base side, and the apples are no good. It's an old tree; you can't eat them. So we go over and get a whole pail of them, and we bring them and set them on the pitcher's mound. Instead of running for the ball every time, we're going to sit there and throw those balls and have batting practice. And John and Dan and I don't know how many pails we went through. Phil comes home, and he sees his beautiful stadium, totally covered with smashed apples.
Smashed apples.
We had to pick up every single one of them. But it was those guys. He would end up putting the basketball rim up that actually had the extension in the barn on one side, and the other was straight against the wall, so we'd beat out the wall.
Wow.
We played by the hour in there. It was barn ball. That's all you could say. It was not slick, smooth rules, and that's why none of us ended up being any good at basketball. And then he also made a football field. When Dad would mow the hayfield, he'd go out with a lawnmower and mark out the field so we could have our own football field.
Oh, wow.
So we have a baseball field, we have a basketball court, and we have a football field. And then when he gets serious and he goes to college, he says, we got to have a weight room in the basement.
Wow.
In some ways, today it's great.
Yeah.
Everybody has weight room. And I think back and says, we may have had the best weight room in all of northern Wisconsin.
That's awesome. I'd ask you one question. When your whole wrestling career, who's the best wrestler you ever put your hands on? Could be competition, could be training, competition. Let's just go straight up competition. Who's the best you had? Your hands on?
I'm going to make a comment here that I'd have incredible respect for Dan Gable.
Yeah.
This incredible what all he did. And how he wrestled the 5 guys weight class above him and could beat all of them in essence. He probably wouldn't have beaten Jason and Chuck in a 4th match.
Right.
But in any daily practice, he could score as much as they did.
Wow.
And he certainly did that to me until my last year.
Yeah.
And then I get with Lee Kemp and I see what he's done and I say, how do you compare these guys?
Yeah.
I would put them as just on the top.
Really? Wow. Ahead of the Georgian, ahead of the Russian?
That's the next thing.
Okay.
Levan Tediashvili.
Yeah.
I used to say this a lot, that John and I made him look better than he really was. And I'd say that particularly about my performance in '76 in my final match.
Uh-huh.
Not too long ago, John, he stopped me when I said that. And he says, Ben, he really was very good. And he's right.
Yeah.
Levan didn't outdo Medved or Karelin, but he wanted to.
Yeah.
And he actually tried, but he didn't. He was incredibly skilled, but maybe not as disciplined over time as he needed to be.
Yeah.
But when he was at his prime, nobody got underneath him.
Really?
And in fact, he was one of the guys who really motivated me to do a lot of my wrestling, not attacking here, as much as encouraging a guy to attack me so that I could sprawl him.
Oh, really?
And a long body, you sprawl, get down on a guy like this. And I'm telling guys all the time here about freestyle. I got one of my posters is if you can roll a guy here, and you can roll a guy here. You do a gut wrench here. You do a wrist roll here. Why can't you turn a guy here without getting all the way behind? Why can't you? And I learned to do that. I didn't see Levan Tediashvili do much of that, but of turning from here. But he was never threatened by people attacking. It was so relentless how he just stopped it all with the crunch around the chest.
Yeah, like chest wrap.
He was strong, but he was very good in his position. Very good in his position.
Wow, that's incredible right there. Yeah. That's an incredible story.
So he's the only guy that could beat a Peterson in the Olympics. So
right.
I got to say that he's got to be the top guy.
That's right. Exactly. But now, obviously, your guys' names is synonymous with one of the most popular wrestling moves ever created in folk style. How did were you guys just messing around in the barn and all of a sudden you came out with the Peterson roll or what?
Oh, you shouldn't bring this up because I jokingly say this. Do you want to know the truth? Or do you want me not to be able to sleep tonight?
Yeah, you tell me.
I did not invent it. John certainly did not, because he did not do rolls. I did rolls on him. In fact, this is a sidelight from your question, but the greatest compliment I ever got was usually when I rolled him. And it was when I rolled him, and we were the only two men in the wrestling room. He would never do this if anybody else was in the room.
Really?
But if I rolled him, he'd take me down more than I took him down. But when I rolled him, I erased all of his takedowns. And I remember more than once that he's coming back to the center of the mat, and I'm feeling pretty good because I got him again. And he's just, I knew you were going to get that roll. You got it anyway. And he would say that with his hands clenched like this and his teeth grit. He didn't want to say it, but he had to. That was maybe the most satisfying, most compliment I've ever had. Because he knew me inside and out, everything I was going to do.
Yeah.
But he didn't know how to stop it. But when I went to Iowa State University, I did not know how to do a proper roll. When I tried to do rolls and crossbody rides in high school, I got myself in trouble over and over again. At Christmas time, my senior year, I was taught how to do legs, but nobody taught me rolls.
Wow.
So when I get to Iowa State University, the high schools in Iowa were saturated with rolls. And Iowa State coaches, Les Anderson and Harold Nichols, were masters at rolls. And several of their wrestlers from before I came that were national champions were masters at it. Dale Barr, one of them, he's master at rolls. Well, I'm exposed to that. And I start doing the rolls, and the coaches actually found out, hey, Peterson likes to have rolls. So he had guys come to me and teach him. And one of them was Steve Lampe. Steve Lampe was from Kansas. Steve Lampe says that he invented the the roll that became the Peterson roll. He's not right. They were doing it on the East Coast. In junior highs when I was in 8th grade.
Really?
Excuse me, when I was 8 years old. When I was 8 years old, I've had coaches tell me that they were doing it at the Granby School, Granby School in Virginia.
Yeah.
That they were doing it there. And so, how did I get mixed up in it? It was invented by a man in New England by the name of Peterson. And Billy Martin took and incorporated it in with his Granby. It finishes just like a Granby.
Really?
And instead of Granbying over, you go underneath and catch the leg. And the Granby, you go up high. Peterson, you go under. They work great together.
Okay, yeah.
So he had the whole East Coast just saturated with Granbys and a Peterson roll. When I started coaching in college right after the Olympics, whenever I got guys from the East Coast, they were all coming and doing it. And the name wasn't always, particularly in the Midwest, we didn't call it Peterson roll. When Steve Lampe taught it to me, he didn't say, hey, this is Peterson roll. But it was only one of the rolls that I did through college.
Wow.
And I say one of the best one that I had was that I actually learned when my older brother taught me to hit a blocking sled where you're facing here, but to put the blocking sled down because you're going to block the man down. You're not going to block the man straight in front of you. You're going to block, everybody's going down, and we're going to have the guys run over here, okay? And so I turned and hit that. When they taught me how to grab the wrist and to turn, people started flying over the top of me when I did that thrust. So I was most like this is Dale Barr, he twisted real tight, and I went out, and I think because of that football training.
Really?
And that just all of a sudden, man, They can give you a couple of key matches that just busted wide open because I found once you do that, oh man, you'll find how do you do it again?
Yeah.
And I could tell you the stories, and there's a couple of matches that I learned that I won in the book that tell about how I'm learning a role, and all of a sudden I learned to thrust and not just twist. And Dale got on me. He came in as assistant coach at Iowa State in 75, 76 when I went back to train for the second Olympics. And he got mad at me because I was falling my shoulder. And I finally says, Dale, can we have a treaty over this? This is working a lot for me. In the end, as a coach, I look and say, it's best to go on your elbow. His way is better and cleaner and better position.
Really?
But if I thrust and I end up on my shoulder, I'm not stopping.
Yeah.
I chug my legs to drive. You explode your hips. You lift them over. There's all of those kinds of things. This is what I've done because of your question. I've had a few hundred kids come to my tables through the last 10 years and ask this. Okay, so I put this together, and this is an interesting little thing. Yeah. This is the only picture that I know of me trying to do a role.
Really?
I looked for years. I have a video on roles right there.
Yeah.
But it's not a picture of me. It's a picture of another Iowa State wrestler. But I found this. John, 2 years ago, invited us all to our house that we grew up in, that he lives in. And everybody left. 120 of us came for family reunion. Everybody leaves, and he said, Ben, I got some boxes that Mom saved about wrestling. You might be interested. And I find this picture.
No kidding.
This is the Midlands tournament, my senior year, when I beat Russ in overtime.
Wow. That's you and Russ.
And I am doing I'm fully set to do a roll, and he's fully set to counter it. And it's perfect picture.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I give this to kids that come and think that and I tell them this: Peterson roll is too easy to counter, but use it to set up all of these. Oh. And you can notice that I have 18 different ways to roll.
Yeah.
And if you look and combine these a little bit, you're going to have 25, 30 plus different ways to roll. I love the whole idea on the bottom.
Yeah.
It drives me nuts today in today's wrestling. Take down, let him go. Mm-hmm. Okay, you get taken down, stand up and get away.
Yeah.
I've already been taken down. Why would I want to get back on my feet?
That's a great question.
Why don't I get on top of it?
That's a great question.
Why don't we reverse him? And this became a super way to do that.
That's a great question. I love that. And I tell you what, I've loved this conversation. Ben Peterson, you are the man. Everybody that listened to this, there's 10 times more in the road to gold in this book. Yeah. Buy this book. I can't wait to buy it. I can't wait to read it. I literally, like I said, I haven't. I don't know the last time I read a book, but this one's getting read. Love it.
Should give me one of the flyers in the corner there. I'm sorry, I'm not.
No, you're good. This one right here.
I'm not good. I'm not good on tech right now. So the only way you can.
Well, we're gonna help you.
Get this is to send me a check of $25.
Okay.
The book costs $20 and postage is $5. So send to Ben Peterson at 205 Dewey Avenue, Watertown, Wisconsin, 53094.
So our podcast is across all platforms, but it'd be Spotify, YouTube, everything. I'll put a link. I'll make you a link, a QR code link, or that we'll put in our that we'll put in our bio and get people on that. Our social media push it for you, because I'm sure it's a fantastic book. And I tell you what, this has been a fantastic conversation. Ben Peterson, you are an incredible person, and it's really cool for me to see people like yourself here have a booth set up to where kids come here and interact with like literally a true legend of our sport. Because I think, and this is really one of the reasons I started this podcast, was because we have so many legendary people that have such amazing stories that kids can not only better their wrestling, but just better their lives in general by talking and being in the presence of people like yourself. So not only, thank you for carving out time to be on my show, but also just carving out time for our next generation. I mean, you are definitely, without question, making an impact, and we really appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you. It's fun for me to come and do this.
Yeah.
Obviously, I would tell people that the only way I can sell books is to be around wrestlers. So I come for that motivation, of course. But otherwise, to see them, seeing the Olympic medals, hardly anybody's ever seen them. And I've been bringing them ever since I got them because people keep asking for them. And then I see the look in the eyes. I go to grade school kid tournaments, incredible, those little kids seeing it. But here these guys are getting a little more serious and getting to high school. And they're kind of cool, but still in the end, they have questions, and they like seeing those kinds of things.
Well, I got to get you down to Tennessee. Maybe I'll bring you down for our state tournament and get you around our kids down there. I think that'd be fantastic. But thanks again for your time. This has been amazing. Thanks so much.
You're welcome.